So we've had a chance to work with cells and cell data and selecting. Let's now manipulate and work with views within our worksheet, because there's a variety of different ways that we can work with our workbook and worksheets. Let's start with the scenario that we're in. We have an expenses tab that contains raw data that we might not necessarily want to display to the next person that we pass this to, because it's not formatted and they don't really care about it. So if I right click on the expenses tab, I can hide it so that people don't actually try and go there. Now I happen to know it's there and maybe I want to get back at it, and how do I redisplay it? I'll right click on the tab, select unhide, select the particular tabs that are hidden that I want to unhide, and click OK, and then I can get it back again. Similar to that, I can actually do that for columns as well. Let's say I didn't want people to see the totals. I can right click on that and hide a column, so that when I distribute it, people don't realize. Now, if they're smart, they'll recognize that the column letters are indicating something's missing there. Now, there are two easy ways to get the column back. If I double click on the separator, it's going to auto size that column and allow me to see it again. Now let's say you're like me and you've hidden the column and you're having a little bit of difficulty with your mouse because you're not quite as coordinated as some of these high DPI mice are. Well, I know that I'm not, and I'll sit here and fumble over trying to double click things. So there's an easy way to do it without having to fumble with the mouse. You can select the column to the left and drag and select all the way over to the column that would be to the right of it, which in this case is K. And now that I've got those selected, and including the hidden cell that's in between them, I can right click and I can select unhide, and my column comes back. This alleviates me having to futz with the mouse and try and get exactly clicking in the right place. Now let's say we have a function that we want to add to the quick access toolbar, something that we do regularly. If I click up here in this arrow, it's going to open up a dialog by selecting more commands that allows me to add additional buttons to my quick access toolbar. Now let's say I'm always concerned that my calculations aren't up to date and I want to make sure that they're always up to date. I can add the Calculate Now button. I can click Add, and when I hit OK, you'll notice that Calculate Now is now a button on my quick access toolbar. It also shows you F9 as a shortcut, so that's an alternative to having the button available to us. So let's say now that if you're on a screen such as this one that doesn't have the highest resolution, you can only display so much at once, and you want some more real estate to work with, you could collapse the ribbon by clicking on the arrow here, such that the ribbon will now only display when I select one of the ribbon tabs. I select the Formulas tab, it displays. I click away from it, it goes away. Now if I say I want it back again and I want it to stay, I can select a ribbon, hit the pin button, and now it will stay as it was displaying all the time before. Now, let's take a look. Maybe we want to figure out, if I tried to print this report, how much of it would actually print on a page and would it fit? If I go to the View ribbon and I select Page Break View, I can see that, yes, it looks like this page actually is going to fit, or this report is actually going to fit within one page. Otherwise, I could go ahead and I could adjust my margins, or I could adjust other areas to get it to fit within the page. So let's now take a look at, say, let's get out of this view first of all. We'll go back to normal. And in this case, let's say we imagine our report is a lot longer and we have a lot more data and we're going to be scrolling through many, many lines. And if the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday scrolled off the top of the page, it would be difficult to realize, okay, wait, the fifth column is what day again? So let's say I wanted that to always stay on the page as I scrolled through. Similarly, I want the transportation also to stay on my page. I select the cell of which I want anything above it to stay in view and anything to the left of it to stay in view. I go to the View ribbon. I select Freeze Panes. And now you'll notice these lines appear. As I scroll, the top stays in view. Now if I scroll left and right, the left stays in view. This allows me to work with large sheets and always see the proper headings. If I want to get rid of that, I can go ahead and go back to freeze panes, and I can unfreeze panes, and it removes those. So I find that very useful when dealing with very large spreadsheets with a lot of data on them. Now let's say you wanted to work within two areas in the spreadsheet at the same time without having to jump back and forth between the two, or maybe you need to compare data between two different rows. We have the ability to split our window using the split button here, and we can split it horizontally, vertically, or both. And when I hit the split button, we're going to notice we get both of it at the same time. It went to the last position that I freezed my panes. I can drag it to wherever I want. I can scroll each section individually. Okay. Say I only wanted a top and a bottom view. If I double click on this, it'll get rid of it. So now I have a top window or top pane and a bottom pane that I can scroll. And I'll double click on this one too, and I can remove it. Or I could have dragged it to resize it. Now, finally, not finally, one more thing. Let's go ahead and take a look at, let's say I'm concentrating on this table, and I want to make sure that I can see it and it alone. And this is more readily apparent as an issue when you're dealing with tables that are hard to read because they're too small. I can select a range that I want to see, and I can hit zoom to selection, and it'll zoom it appropriately so I'm only able to see that area, and it's appropriately zoomed so I can see the whole thing. Now finally, let's take a look at, let's say we want to actually get an idea of what in here is data versus what is actually actual formulas or calculations. If I go to the Formulas ribbon, and we'll select the Show Formulas button, and you'll notice now I can see this is raw data, where this is a calculation, and I can quickly view all the calculations within my worksheet and adjust and edit those very quickly. And then I can click the button again and get back to my normal view. So you can see there's a wide variety of different ways that you can work within your workbook. You can look at formulas, you can look at multiple areas at the same time, you can adjust sizes of things, you can select multiple ranges and adjust them at the same time, you can hide sections. You have a whole wide variety of options available to control your working within your worksheet. So why don't you take a look at some of these now?